right, getting set up. We've got our live Iyengar class. So take your time, get yourself settled, roll out your mat, and or if you're on TikTok, maybe you are getting yourself settled in whatever space you have. I always like to grab a block. I'm just gonna flip to one of my pages, and that's gonna be the Iyengar we do. So I happened to flip to our May Iyengar, which is a week 16. So slightly more advanced. We should be able to fit this into about 45 minutes to an hour. We'll be exploring a good amount of balance postures today, which will be exciting. And grab a block, grab a blanket. And let's get ourselves started. So welcome everyone. My name is Bonnie. I am yoga instructor here at Iyengar Yoga, and we are going to embark on our journey for Iyengar Yoga. We're doing our week 16 flow. This is live on both YouTube and TikTok, and I'm super excited to flow with you today. I'm going to grab my hair tie and then let's get going. Our week 16 Iyengar flow starts with a headstand, and that's quite exciting because I haven't done a headstand in a while. So you'll be right here with me. I'll be guiding you through if you are practicing with me today. If you are watching and you are just trying to get an understanding on how to do some of these postures, that's a great place to start as well. While we get ourselves settled, you can start seated in whatever spot makes most sense for you. If you want to start standing, that is a great option as well. And we'll start with 6 belly breaths just to ground ourselves in the moment that we have, because the present is a gift and we don't want our heads to be rotating and floating in other spaces. So it might help to bring one hand to the belly and let out a long exhale. Inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth. Inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth. Breathing in through the nose, trying to deepen this breath in. Exhale out the mouth. You're halfway through. Inhale. What if nothing is wrong? Exhale. Release some tension. Release expectation. Breath in. Exhale. Lovely job. Final breath in, deepening that breath from the diaphragm into the chest. Exhale out, either through the mouth or the nose. Release your hold on any expectations or just who you have to show up to be outside of your mat. Right here, right now, show up as you alone, greeting yourself for the first time. So today's practice does start in our Salamba Sirsarsana, which is our headstand. To get into the headstand, we've got a couple of options. Since I am alone in our practice today, I am going to move through this flow as though I'm practicing. And that way, if you're watching to understand postures, you can get an expert guide and visual as to how to do these. So to enter into our Salamba Sirsasana 1, it's a headstand. I'm going to start with my forearms on the ground, interlacing my fingers. I'm going to pike my hips, and I'm finding the very top of my head. And I'm going to walk until my toes barely come off the ground, and I find some weightlessness. I'm going to hold this for about 8 breaths. I'm halfway through. Gonna begin coming down. One day that'll be more controlled descent. And I'll let the blood come back to the right parts of my body. We'll stand from here, moving into our Utthita Trikonasana, or our triangle pose. So I'm going to start in our mountain posture, just to give myself this opportunity to really align from root to crown. Recontrol the breath in my body. And we are going to hop out wide, bringing our legs into the straddle position. I'm starting with my right toes, spinning my right toes towards the short edge of the mat and extending my arms wide. I'll inhale, reach for my right side, and exhale, hinge down. 6 breaths here. My next breath in, I pull myself upright. If you're just joining me on live, welcome to Iyengar. I am flying solo today, so I am just going to practice this for you all. And if you want to watch, get an idea of what each of these postures are, this will be a great reference guide. Moving into my Utthita Trikonasana on my left side, I spin my left toes towards the short edge. I tee my arms out wide. Inhale, I reach towards my left hip, left hand, left foot come together, and I open through my chest. My gaze can go up to the middle or down, and I breathe 6 breaths here, keeping a little bend in both knees. Just breathing and feeling what's coming up in my body, the outer edge of my right hip, inside of my left leg, sensational. I pull myself back upright out of this Utthita Trikonasana and I hop back to Tadasana. We'll move on into our Parita Trikonasana, which is our twisted triangle, and it's one of my favorite postures. So we're going to hop the legs out nice and wide, and I start with my right side here. It's going to feel like I'm starting in my Utthita Trikonasana, but there'll be a change. So I tee my arms out and I take a breath, keeping a nice long spine from roots to crown. My exhale, I helicopter my arms around so my left arm is now in front. Again, I take an inhale, noticing sensation in my inner thighs, keeping those squeezing. Exhale, I cross my forearm along my shin. Now my hand reaches the ground, I use that as leverage, and I inhale, rotate into my upper back, letting my right arm stay overhead. 6 breaths here. I've got 2 breaths more, a lot of engagement through my shoulders, spreading them out, and a lot of engagement through my core, bringing it around. My next breath in, I take myself up and out of this twist, noticing the compression that occurred along the right side of my body. Onto my left side, I turn my left toes towards the short edge of the mat. I want to keep my back toes perpendicular with my front foot so that the toes are facing opposite sides. Let's tee out the arms and take a breath in, locking up through the root. Exhale, I helicopter my arms around, but I keep that core and root locked. Inhale, squeeze through my inner pelvis. Exhale, hinge down, crossing forearm along shin. Hand might reach the ground or reach for a block on the outside of the foot. I take a breath in, and my exhale continues my twist around. I've got 6 breaths here, and the inner and hamstring on my left side are quite sensational. I'm going to breathe through that here. I've got 2 breaths more. And I begin to unwind as my next inhale comes. I like to bend that front knee when I unwind and take myself upright. I'm gonna hop back into mountain, ground through the heels and the balls of my feet, and re-engage alignment. All right, let's move into our Utthita Praskonasana, our extended side angle. A very nice posture to strengthen the legs, the core, the shoulders, and the mindset. All right, let's hop back out, straddle through the legs. We turn right toes towards short edge of the mat. And I've got some long legs, so I'm actually going to start walking my legs a little bit longer or a bit further away. I want to create as much space as I can engage in. So when I open my legs up in this way and have my hip open, I want to engage my inner thighs, imagining I'm pulling the center of the mat together so that I keep a strong foundation. I am not locking through my pelvis, but there's engagement through my core, starting in my hips and moving up. Now I'm going to tee my arms and then hinge into my right hip. And for this one, I'm taking my right arm on the inside of my leg and my left arm draped across my ear. I'm taking 6 breaths here, keeping a 90-degree bend if I can maintain that in my right knee. Opening through my chest, pulling that left shoulder back. I'm halfway through. I'm going to extend my right arm up, defying gravity, keeping engagement through my legs. My next breath in, I pull myself back up, dropping my arms. Whew. It's a great workout. Let's move on to the left side. So I spin left toes towards short edge of the mat. And I create the amount of space I think is good for my body here. I'm going to bend through that left knee and again engage my adductor muscles, the inner thighs, as though I'm squeezing the middle of the mat together. I tee out my arms here, and my exhale, I hinge into my left hip, finding that same starting spot as the right side. I've got 6 breaths here. I really want to press into the ball of the foot on the back side to keep that leg stable, taking my arms up for the second half here. 3 more breaths. Myself back up, drop the arms and hop back into mountain. Now our practice's purpose is to help us become more aware and mindful of ourselves, from our bodies physically, our breath, and our minds. And we try not to cast any judgment on how a path might flow. It's just really observing ourselves to build more awareness. Maybe I need to stretch through the sides of my body more because it's pretty tight there. All right, let's keep this our Virabhadrasana series. We move through our Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3. For those who aren't sure about Sanskrit, that's our warrior 1, 2, and 3. My favorite way to do these is to incrementally increase my breath count. So start with Virabhadrasana 1 or warrior 1 for 6 breaths, Virabhadrasana 2 for 7, and Virabhadrasana 3 for 8. We love a good challenge. So Virabhadrasana 1, or our warrior 1, if you're just joining me, you can watch freely and watch me do yoga, or you can join me and find some stretches yourself wherever you are. So warrior 1, we step 1 foot forward. I'm starting with my right foot forward, and I bend through that right leg, and now my left toes are spun inward. So I should be able to look down and see the tops of my toes kind of facing the same direction as my hip, not so much in the same direction as the front toes though. The heel is placed on the ground on that back side, and my hips go forward to square with my knee. Arms extend overhead. Now, very important here, we do not want an anterior tilt of our hips, meaning we don't want to stick our hips forward and bring our ass back. Okay, no. This is not for the twerkers. This pose is for a nice solid pelvis and long spine. So you slightly tuck our tailbone and lift the arms overhead. I've got 6 breaths here. I'm going to find Kali's mudra, my mudra of feminine, divine energy, and I'm looking up and starting with an exhale. My core is engaged. Breathe here if you're practicing with me. Just notice your breath and your body, what's coming up. Halfway through. At the close of that 6th breath, I start to straighten my leg, rotate my hips forward, and spin my way to the opposite side. My left toes begin to point towards the short edge of the mat, and my right toes pull in. I focus so much on the feet because the feet are our foundation, and they root us, connecting us to whatever else is below us. They keep us nice and upright. So Make sure those feet are grounded. We spin our hips so that they're facing forward and extend the arms overhead. We've got those 6 breaths here. Engage the core and exhale. One thing you might notice, especially if you have knee sensitivity, is what warrior one feels like on the inner knee of that back leg. We're halfway through. I want you to be mindful here. We are not locking that joint out completely. There should be a bend, micro bend there. Let's take one more breath. And we begin to straighten through that front leg, spinning ourselves back around. Drop the arms, hop back into Tadasana. Now, the pressure that we felt on the inner knee, that is healthy stress. We don't want to feel as though that knee is locked out and is compromised to where it wants to cave inward. But we do want it to feel like there is a semblance of pressure to build that tendon, build those ligaments, and they don't have a lot of blood flow or flexibility. So it's good to apply a decent amount of healthy stress to those joints. Let's move into our Virabhadrasana 2. So we hop back out. And this is going to feel like we're setting ourselves back up for that Utthita Praskonasana, which is that extended side angle. However, we are just going to hold Virabhadrasana 2. I want us to slightly tuck our pelvis and make sure our toes are facing 2 different directions on your mat. We tee out our arms nice and strong through the shoulders and bring the shoulders down and away from the ears. The gaze can go over that right or front arm and make sure you can see the inner big toe on the inside of that front knee. Let's exhale to begin our 7 breaths. Now in this posture, do not forget to keep that squeeze on the inner thighs. Firm and strong foundation on your journey forward. 5 more breaths. Two more breaths. Let's close down the arms and straighten that front leg. Now the purpose of these postures is not to be in complete stillness. It's to actually observe the body and its subtle movements to find balance, to understand what muscles are engaging. And I love Iyengar because it's one of those practices that really engages isometric movement. So these long holds with still a gravitational or increased load, but we're not like a bicep curl constantly moving in this eccentric pattern. We're really just maintaining that pressure, maintaining that force. So let's move into Virabhadrasana 2 on the other side. Set up that firm foundation, check the feet, check the inner knee, check the core, open the arms, exhale to begin 7 breaths here. Strong on your journey. We have 3 more breaths. Keep the inner thigh engagement. Let's begin to drop the arms and straighten the legs. So I'll hop back into our Tadasana. And I hope you're enjoying this flow. If you're watching, lovely. I hope you're enjoying watching me do yoga. If you are watching for reference, This is ideally a great opportunity to practice in safety new postures. And if you are practicing real time with me right now, make sure you're catching your breath, you're flowing with me. We're moving into our Virabhadrasana 3, which is our Warrior 3, and the final posture in this Virabhadrasana series. Warrior 3 is a balancing posture. We've got 2 of those in today's class. So this one is going to be a closed hip posture. And we are going to imagine that we are stepping from our Warrior 1. Okay, so you might get your legs into a position that's similar to Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1. You can use the ground as a tool here. So starting with the toes, starting with the fingers on the ground, maybe the toes, and lifting that back leg up. All right, you can also begin with a balance. So bringing hands to heart center. And if this is a posture that you're quite familiar with, you might take up the full space and bring the arms overhead. Okay? So we're going to come down, choose how you want to start, and then let's get into it. So I'm starting with my right foot on the ground. I'm beginning with my hands at heart center just to firm up my foundation. I'm taking my left leg back, flexing through that ankle so I give that back calf something to do. Hands at heart center, spine is long, gaze is down towards the direction of my nose. 8 breaths here. Oftentimes people have that floating leg, that floating hip lifted. Sometimes it's nice to bring hands to heart center, hands to the hips to really feel where your hips are in space. This posture works the foundational glute. So my right glute is on the ground. We're halfway through. My right glute is not on the ground. My right glute is the one helping me ground. I'm taking my arms overhead. This increases the load on my lower back. I'm going to drop my arms, stand up nice and tall, and give myself a little round of applause for completing Virabhadrasana 1, 3. Whoa, Virabhadrasana 3 on the left side. Let's move on to Virabhadrasana 3 on the left side. Y'all, I just said that, but you know what I mean. Maybe. We're going to go to the opposite side. So, opposite leg is placed on the ground. I'm going to begin again with my hands at heart center, kicking my right leg back, flexing that ankle, keeping my gaze down and my hips down, checking that out with my hands on my hips. We start with our exhale, 8 breaths. Again, we want to feel this in the glute of that left leg or the base leg. We're halfway through. I'm going to extend my arms overhead. Last breath. And bring yourself back upright. Nice job, everyone. Even if you're watching, great job watching me breathe. Okay, we've got our second and last balance posture, Ardha Chandrasana, which is our half moon. This is one of my favorite postures, although it's quite difficult. So our half moon, I'll first show you our variations, and then you can decide on how you want to move forward. I'm going to grab a block because there's nothing wrong with using an accessory. And I'm taking that block about 3 or 4 inches in front of my right foot. That's the foot I'm going to start with. So this balancing posture, Ardha Chandrasana or half moon, engages an open hip of that base leg, and a floating back leg. There's a slight back bend and an openness through the heart center. The core is always engaged and one arm can float overhead. Using the block, this could feel quite stable. We're finding our posture for 6 breaths. I'm gonna come down. You come down if you've been practicing with me, because from here, there are also other ways that you can do this posture. You can keep that block under the hand. You can float the hands to heart center. You can pin one hand to the leg and the other one to the flying leg. So I just want to give you those options before we dive into it on both sides. So you choose which way you want to start. Where you start isn't where you have to end. Let's jump into our Chandrasana. Okay, this half moon, we're opening up, creating a lot of space, getting big, trusting our bodies, and engaging our core. Okay. Let the gaze stay downwards for now, in line with the nose. Let's start our breath count with an exhale. Closing out that third breath here, halfway through. Two more breaths. Let's close down the legs, coming back to a stand. Nice job. And we'll move on to the other side. You might have observed that each side feels differently. That's so normal. That is how it is because we are just not fully symmetrical beings. Also, our lifestyles might suggest that we sleep differently on either side, that we carry bags differently, right? We step up stairs differently. So no judgment if this side is easier or more difficult. Let's find our Ardha Chandrasana on our left side. So I'll begin by finding balance, hinging down through that hip by base leg. That base hip is open. And again, I'm flexing through that back leg, that back ankle. Let's start our 6 breaths with an exhale. Slight back bend. Pull shoulders back. If you fall out of it, welcome to the club. About 2 more breaths here. And we're gonna bring ourselves upright. No problem if you felt like I did twice over. I'm coming up with the fact that my drishti, I think, was too small, which is not formal, but I was looking at one spot and then I kept forgetting where that spot was. I couldn't focus. So can't focus, sometimes it means you fall down. Let's move now into our Parsvuttanasana. The Parsvuttanasana is our pyramid posture. So this can be quite restorative for you if you need that right now. It's a forward fold, it's a stretch into the hamstring of the front leg. And I start with this facing the same direction. Now, you can take the hands behind your back and open up through the chest. You can simply just grab opposite elbows with the opposite hands. You can also go for reverse namaste hands. So bringing the palms together in the back, okay? Up to you. If you don't want either of those, you can just reach the hands forward towards the ground. So I'm taking opposite hand, opposite elbows for this side. I'll take a breath in, lifting my chest, looking up slightly, and I exhale, hinging down into that front hip. My gaze goes to the knee or to the back toes. 5 breaths here. Now pull myself upright and straighten my body to the front. Now that wasn't towards the top of the head, and let the blood come back down to the right parts of the body before you engage any further. While we let the blood flow go back to where it needs to be, I just want to remind us our Iyengar class is a class that is a bit more traditional. It's not vinyasa style, so we're not moving with breath to movement. It's a very disciplined, heavy practice of yoga where we are looking for alignment. We're looking for mindfulness in more challenging postures to, one, help identify just muscle groups that are on, identify parts of the body that might be tight or particularly need more assistance. But also, this mindfulness allows for us to understand that these hard things, these hard postures come to a close, just like challenges outside of our mat, they come to a close eventually. You can breathe through them. Let's move to Parsvottanasana on the opposite side. Again, this is our pyramid. This time I'm going to go for my reverse namaste hands. This is an intense stretch of my wrists, my forearms, and opening through my chest, keeping my shoulders internally rotated. Breath in, lift the chest, exhale, hinge into that front leg. Gaze goes towards the back toes or the knee. Hips are closed down. 5 breaths here. Two more breaths. And we rise with our next breath in. Same thing as last time, noticing if blood has funneled to the crown of the head. It can be quite engaging to have the blood rush towards our head, but then we want to come down with ease. And we'll move our way into our Pada Asa Asanasana, which means our forward fold series. So first and foremost, forward fold, we're going to continue our way down. So our practice isn't going to stop being, I don't want to say intense, but ambitious, but it's just going to be ambitious in a different way. Our forward fold, we've got micro bends in our knees. If you're just joining me, this is a great opportunity to take a break from whatever you're doing and find an inversion. Now you can stay here, or as I mentioned, we have Pada Asa Asana, which is taking our hands under our feet, creating a stretch of our wrists, and some balance in the balls of our feet. Now you can tuck the chin and just let the head and upper body hang and dangle, or keep the feet flat on the ground, finding a traditional Uttanasana or forward fold. We have 5 more breaths here. Start with your exhale and let the worries slide off the back. As that 5th breath comes to a close, we're going to find our way to the ground. And I'm moving away from a couple postures just because of the interest of time. So we've got only about 5 minutes left for this flow. And sometimes that's just how it is. Our Iyengar takes a little bit longer due to explanation, due to posture holds, or some just navigation. So maybe next week I'll start about halfway through this flow, and that way you get the second half of week 16. We do follow along the Light on Yoga book. So in the back of the BKS Light on Yoga, BKS Iyengar Light on Yoga, there are asana courses, and that's essentially where I cherry pick these from. And I make very few changes. I just kind of go with them as they're presented. Some postures are quite challenging and I just can't get into them. All to say, we're on the ground here. We'll find a Ustrasana, which is our camel posture, and then we'll make our way down into some rest. All right. So Ustrasana, we're going to stand on our knees and take our hands to the back pockets. This is a back bend. It's can be quite accessible to many. One of the only conditions I would say is if you have sensitive knees, take something under the knees, a blanket, a towel, just to give yourself some comfort. Otherwise, if you feel okay, we want to take the tops of our feet and press them onto the ground. They are now acting as our foundation. And with that, we'll then take the hands out the lower back and press the hips forward. Actually, my chest lifts, my shoulder blades come together. Now, with the hands on the lower back, we want to feel our glutes light up to hold us up here. We'll hold for 6 breaths in this back bend. You can do this standing. It's the same concepts. Unlock the jaw and breathe. 4 more breaths here. If you would like, you can reach the hands down towards the ankles. We'll begin making your way up. Tuck the chin, and at first, just neutralize the spine. So just stand upright completely, and then bring yourself down to tabletop. If you were standing, I would just sit down, honestly. All right, we'll close today's class in a meditation. Just because sometimes midday laying all the way down is just not what our bodies need, especially if we have something else to do after. So this meditation, although if you want to lay down, I'm nothing but a guide. So find a comfortable spot on the ground. Again, it could be seated, it could be laying down, it could be seated upright, or even standing, depending on how you're ingesting this phlegm. And I'm going to see if I can find a quick meditation. And here's one that I wrote right on time. Our summer solstice is next Sunday on June 21st, also Father's Day. And we've got our summer yoga mala happening here. And this was the meditation that we did last year. This would be good practice if I choose to do it this year. So allow for yourself to find a comfortable seat. Allow for yourself to find just a comfortable spot to be in. And begin to notice the breath, similarly to how we started today's practice. So you might come back to that belly breath, noticing the diaphragm expand and contract. And allow for yourself to close your eyes or stare at a spot right in front of you and continue to breathe slowly and deeply. With each inhale, feel strength rising within you. With each exhale, release any tension or doubt. Now picture a steady flame. Imagine that to be your eternal flame at the center of your chest. That flame flickers, but it does not go out. No wind, no challenge, no weight dims its glow. This flame is your endurance, your inner fire. Let your breath feed it. Just as we know, oxygen builds fire. Inhale steady. Exhale strong. Breath in, steady. Breath out, strong. Inhale, steady. Exhale, strong. 2 more, just like that. Inhale, steady. Exhale, strong. Remember that your endurance isn't force, it's presence. It's showing up again and again. And feel that truth anchor you. As you breathe silently, repeat, I am steady, I am resilient, repeating, I am steady, I am still here. We'll begin waking our bodies, letting your minds come back to what is next in your day, what is next on your to-do. However, as you move forward into the rest of today, carry this flame of endurance with you. Let it flicker and glow, but do not wane on your journey ahead. Never rushed, never broken, just steady and true. My friends, I want to thank you so much for joining me on your mats, joining me on your screens. This has been very fun. We'll be back again next Wednesday, same time, same place, to YouTube and TikTok now. And I just want to say, strong legs, strong core, strong minds. I'll float you soon. Bye.